Okay, child. So, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, and I am back to talk about Lessons in Chemistry, episode 5, CH3COOH, honey. In other words, vinegar, baby, because she got us all together. Now, Elizabeth has accepted, honey. She's like, look, I didn't apply for this grant, but now I got to go back to Hastings to get a letter of reference. And he said, I'm not going to give it to you. I want you to come here and work under me as an assistant chemist. And she's like, baby, no, I'm not doing it. You're a scoundrel. And he is. You low down. You know you stole that woman's research. You know you were not the top chemist. You know, and I guess for her, it was like, rather than take crumbs, I would rather chart my own way. So come to find out, Elizabeth's been selling Tupperware, but she is rowing with the doctor, which I love to see. Maddie, honey, is just growing up and incredible. And again, we're still seeing this sense of community. We are able to see what her routine looks like. It looks like they have dinner once a week with Harriet and her family, and this week it was her week to entertain, and that's when they find out she's gotten this new prospective job offer and that they need references. Really cute. Love the dynamic. I love that Harriet's husband is so engaged and inclined, and we're also learning more about Harriet's story. We found out in the last episode, and I forgot to mention, that she delayed or deferred law school to take care of her family. They kept having babies, and his career kind of took precedence, I believe, because he was supporting the household. And now that he's back, he's supposed to be cutting back on hours so that she can finish law school. And I believe she probably has since the time that Maddie was a baby up until now. But we do still see that he's working graveyard shifts. So I don't know what the issues are going on in Harriet's marital life, but we'll see. And hopefully they delve into that a little bit deeper as the show goes on. And so basically, Elizabeth, now that she's kind of desperate for work, because come to find out, Maddie's so smart, it's causing an uproar in the school. Now, I didn't know what this teacher was going to do, how she was going to react after Maddie said, well, we're animals, we're mammals. And then the kids all started acting like animals. And so she calls Elizabeth into the school and has a talk. And again, you never know in that time, especially with a little girl, how the teacher would have responded. But she basically said, Maddie's not being challenged here. Here are some recommendations for some private schools. And of course, Elizabeth is like, I sell Tupperware. This is expensive. What am I going to do? And so she's, again, her wheels are turning because we know that she said no to Hastings reference. And so now she's going to go back to the little girl's daddy, who she kind of went off on, who offered her the position. And so he comes and he breaks down the terms. He said, it's more money than you've ever seen. If this will be your show, it's going to be called, I guess, Supper at 6, honey. But now let's enter Dwight. Okay, because at first, and it took Bay telling me, because I was like, he looks so familiar. Why does he look so familiar? And child, it's Dwight from The Office, and he owns the station. Child, and so he wants Elizabeth to be this docile yet alluring housewife who makes her man's drinks and whatever. And so in this episode, we're really kind of see her feel out her way for this show, honey, because I mean, she had her goggles on, her gloves, and she was in straight chemist mode if it's left up to her. But I love how she found this balance. She found a tagline. She found a way to really connect to mothers. And it was so interesting to see the focus group who saw the first show, and it's like all these men giving their opinion, and it's like, they're not your audience. And the women who did try to have a voice weren't heard. So I think not only does the show give us a glance into Elizabeth's life, right, this character, but it also shows us what the world was really like then for women. I mean, especially educated women, or even regular women who just wanted to be more, wanted to know more, wanted to do more. I will say it's interesting as well to see it broken down as well by race, right? Because we see Harriet and her family are professionals. Elizabeth is a professional, but Caucasian, of course, and how her journey is upward. But we see Harriet in her community. We don't see the men coming for Harriet like the men come for Elizabeth. And again, that's probably because we don't see too much of Harriet's story in terms of her career. But I do like that we kind of get to see the juxtaposition of these two women both professional, trying to navigate in this period of time. Anyway, Supper at 6, she's finding her way. The focus group is all men basically and 2 women, and they're like, no, she's not it. She's not happy. Why isn't she smiling? And baby, Elizabeth commences to research, what do I need to do to be successful on TV? And honey, she figures it out. Because one thing about Elizabeth, she gonna figure it out, okay? And that's exactly what she did. And so again, the show is, you know, starting. And so the first day, Dwight calls her into the office and he's like, you need to do this, this, and this. If I put something on that set, you need to do it. Meanwhile, the phones are ringing off the hooks and it's like, what is going on? Why are the phones ringing like this? He's ignoring his secretary, but finally he's like, can you get someone to deal with the phones? And of course it was a message for Elizabeth and Supper at 6. So in this episode, we really see her star rise. Everyone's calling about her. Ratings are going to be through the roof. And I am super excited for her and what this looks like. She's also rolling with the doctor. However, we are getting the chance to see how it's affecting Maddie. Because she's used to having her mom's full attention, right? And now it's divided. They can barely go into public without people wanting her autograph or wanting to talk to Elizabeth about the show. And you kind of start seeing that disconnect. Also, again, we get to see more of the village that she's created with Harriet, because Harriet, of course, is babysitting, or her family is taking on Maddie, taking them to church and choir rehearsal. In the whole interim of this, there is a family tree assignment that Mad has, and she's like, I can't fill out my family tree. I know nothing about my dad. So she starts this adventure of exploration, trying to figure out who Calvin was, where he came from. And so as she's at choir practice one night, the pastor of the church, you know, just kind of talks to her, and she's like, I'm trying to fill out my family tree. And she had pulled some things from his private box that Elizabeth hasn't touched. I thought that was so interesting. It's like he's got this whole section of the house that's his, that, you know, are just his belongings and boxes. His closet's still set up the same way. It's so tragic. And we also found out about Elizabeth's relationship with God and how she doesn't believe in God. Her father was apparently a preacher, and we know that she's estranged from her family. Nevertheless, the pastor is going to help Maddie, you know, in different ways, try to get some more clues to find out where the dad went to school, if there are any relatives, and we'll see what happens with that. But you guys, I really enjoyed the episode. I mean, she's on billboards now, so Elizabeth's star has risen, and I'm excited to see what happened. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, the Vinegar episode. And if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.